Ivan Rooney is on the line. Ivan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe.
How are you today?
Nice to talk to you.
You in good form today?
Yeah, great form.
Okay,
a big day in our lives.
Okay, and we'll find out why in a sec, because on the 17th of October in the year 2007, the self-same Ivan Rooney, who's on this the other line here, you were 81 then. Are you 82 now?
I'm 82 on the 16th of December.
You're 82 in the meantime. Ivan phoned Live Line, and this is part of what he had to say when he phoned us over a year ago, Ivan.
I'm 80 years of age. It just struck me, I said, geez, I think I'll have a look at my cert, you see. So I took it out, and there's quite a number of blanks on it, you see. And the date is registered 16th December 1926. Name, if any, a big broad line, pen line through it. Sex, male, male. Name and surname and dwelling place of father, a big long stroke, you see. Then my mother's name, they had that all right. Rank of father, of course, they don't know that. And it was registered in the Coombe Hospital.
And your date of birth, I presume, is on it.
The date. It starts with the date. You see.
You're saying you've no name.
I've no Christian name. Now I have been. As I say, I'm now 80. I went to national school, secondary school, got passports, all kinds.
But you're saying there's no Christian name on your birth certificate?
No Christian name. So I've gone through life with a birth certificate that it doesn't really identify me.
Okay, well, that was your quest a year ago. You wanted to identify yourself. Your name is Ivan Rooney. And on this day, 1 year and 1 month later, Ivan, you have found siblings, half-siblings.
That's right. I have indeed. A very, very special day today.
Who have you found?
Well, I have found half-sister and half-brother, Douglas and Eileen.
And where were they living?
Douglas was in San Francisco and Eileen in New York State.
And now you're 81, you've eventually met them.
We've met this morning. We met them at the Dublin airport this morning.
And that was the first time in your 81 years that you've met your half-brother and half-sister.
Yeah, exactly, yes. And most graciously received into their family and their friends and everything. A wonderful spirit of goodwill and Christianity.
And what was it like this morning at the airport?
Well, I was speechless. Very apprehensive. Very big occasion.
And when you saw Douglas, what age would Douglas be? You're 81.
Douglas is 65,
yeah.
And I think Eileen is 71.
So you saw them coming through. Did you recognise them?
Oh, I did, because the minute the contact was made, they had sent me photographs and of the whole family and everything. So,
right. And what's the first word you said to them, Ivan?
What? I just welcomed them and thanked them for their generosity of spirit.
Did you welcome them to Ireland or into your family?
Pardon?
Did you welcome them to Ireland?
I did, of course.
But yes. Did you welcome them into your family?
Oh, yes. Family, we were all there, and welcome from the family and from for coming to Ireland.
And what was that sensation like for you, Ivan?
It was amazing. After all those years, it never worried me. Now, the incident of the certificate shows that I had a certain curiosity about it, but it never worried me. I got on with life. I had a wonderful childhood and great life. Never a day idle in my life, and retired 17 years now, and so I was very happy with my life. But it was always a gap. You know, one has an interest in your origins.
And when did you phoned us a year and a month ago, but things moved on with the help, I think, of Bernardo's at that stage.
They did.
When did you find out that you had half-brother and half-sister?
I tell you how I found out. I had, over the years, I'd looked up the 1911 census, so I knew the family. And then I had, my foster parents had given me a postcard of the sailing of the SS Arabic that sailed to New York and landed there on the 30th of May 1930. Okay. So I had that.
The SS Arabic?
Yeah. So that was meant that my daughter Susan was able to trace on the internet the sailings. So we got more information there.
And you believe your mother went on that ship?
Oh yes,
To the
I
States,
knew she
okay.
did, because I have the postcards signed by our good self.
And where did she? Who did she leave you with, Ivan?
Well,
the foster family, I believe.
obviously, she had for a confinement. She had gone to the Magdalene Asylum in 8 Lower Leeson Street. Now
Okay.
they figured in your program some time ago.
That's right,
Do you
yeah.
remember they're now in Donnybrook, and were threatened with closure for lack of funds. And I was born in the Coombe, but I was in the Magdalene with my mother until the 27th of the following August.
Okay, so your mother, she fostered you.
Yes, I was fostered. You see, in those days there was no such thing as adopting a child.
Okay, and you were fostered at, what, 2 years of age?
About three. I'd
And
say.
then your mother took this ship to America.
They took the ship to America in 1930.
And that's the last you heard?
Yeah, no, there was another letter that came
Okay.
into my possession that she wrote in September of 1939.
Okay.
And, well, it didn't, other than it gave an address in New York. But I had that letter. So when Susan was searching the net, she went on to a line, and they asked, with the details she had, they asked, had I my mother's date of birth? Well, fortunately, I had during the course of time. I don't know how I located it, but I did get her birth certificate.
Brilliant.
And that said 1905.
Okay.
So that clinched it. So we went. Susan went onto the site again and to confirm it, and there was a question mark that if you wanted further information such as birth, death, or marriage certificate, click whichever you want. So Susan decided, right, we knew on the law of averages that born 1905, she unfortunately would be no longer with us. So Susan clicked for death certificate.
Brilliant. Brilliant thinking.
When we went to pay for the internet charge in the internet cafe, the large sum of, I think, €6, and it also popped out the application forms for a death cert. So Susan filled that in and we sent it off to Sacramento, and in due course we got an acknowledgement that the usual time for a death cert was 12 weeks. 12 weeks passed, and almost to the day we got the death cert. Now on the cert, my mother's name obviously, of course, but her death had been notified by Douglas, her son, and also an address. So we had a line, we had a connection here right away. You see, so we decided what we do now. So I said, look,
can you remember?
Write a letter to Douglas.
But Ivan, can you remember that death cert arriving and you realising that you had a half brother?
Yes, very exciting. Okay. So I wrote to Douglas at the address of the death cert, and nothing happened. 4 or 5 weeks went by, and I said, right, this must be a dead end. We're getting nowhere. And another friend of mine had been interested, and he said, look, Ivan, you should try an agency. You're not getting anywhere.
Okay, a
try
third
an
party
agency.
to try and,
And so I looked up Golden Pages, and I got our state body that look after this. And fair play to them, I got a gentleman on that, and he asked me what the situation was, and he said, Ivan, he says, your best mark is, he said, to get an agency such as Bernardo's. Okay. So immediately pen to paper to Bernardo's, and they took on the case.
And you wanted Bernardo's to write to Douglas?
Yeah.
I
didn't tell him what to do. I just asked him to investigate it.
Okay.
And I had to give them permission to investigate the case, you see, and left it with them. So about a fortnight passed, and I got a call from Bernardo's to say that they had traced Douglas at a different address to the one I had written to, and that Douglas wanted to ring me. So they had to get my permission for that, of course. I said, certainly. So anyway,
he's me brother. Why shouldn't he ring me? It's taken 65 years to get the number.
Yeah, and the lady in Bernardo said to me, she says, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "I am. I'm sitting down at the phone." She says, "Because you have a half sister as well."
You have a whole family.
For good measure. So anyway, she said Ivy gave permission. So about a week later, I was just going off. I don't have many appointments, but I had an appointment to go out, and I was just had my hand on the front door, and the phone rang, and it was Bernardo's, and she says, "Douglas wants to ring you now." But I said, "I have a very important appointment I have to keep." She says, "Well, when will you be back?" I said, "I'll be back at 6 o'clock." So I did my business, and at the dot of 6, Douglas was on the phone.
Right.
And we spent a half an hour. And then he said, "Now, when I hang up," he says, "Eileen's going to ring you from New York." Mm-hmm. And Eileen rang me. So there it goes.
What was your mother like, Ivan?
Pardon?
What was your mother like? You've no memory of her.
No, she was a wonderful woman. And, you know, it's a social history story, really, because there was no, you were pre-adoption, illegitimacy was frowned on, no one wanted to know you, and, you know, it was a big burden for any. Unfortunately, she obviously had friends, which organised the Magdalene, etc. And then they organised New York, you know.
And did Douglas and Eileen, did they bring photographs of your mum?
Yes, I've been following the telephone conversation. I was bombarded with photographs, the whole family.
And what was it like for you looking at the photographs of your mother as she went through her life?
Yeah, amazing. And there's a great likeness around the eyes, blue eyes, and around the forehead, etc. You know.
Okay, Ivan, will you stay with us, please?
Yes.
And thanks for letting us in on this. And
yeah, well, it's an interesting story.
That's fascinating. Is Eileen there?
Oh, she
Your
is
sister.
indeed. She is indeed.
Yeah.
I put Eileen on now.
Eileen, how are you?
I'm great.
Congratulations in being reunited with Ivan. He spoke to us on this programme 13 months ago, and he made a magnificent impression because he was so upbeat and bright, even though he was in search of his family. There's a phone gone the other day. Eileen.
I'm Eileen.
Okay.
Do you want Ivan back?
No, I want you, Eileen. If I put Ivan back on, he won't get off the phone. How are you?
That's right. He has a great gift of the gab.
How are you?
I'm great.
What was it like to be reunited with your brother in Ireland?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. What a wonderful story.
When did you discover you had, or did you always know that Ivan existed?
No. Doug and I knew nothing. We were very surprised that my mother, because my mother was not very good at keeping secrets. Mm-hmm. And we said, boy, she really outdid herself this time.
She never ever revealed Ivan's existence?
No.
Wow. And what did she tell you about her life in Ireland?
She said that she worked as a nanny, and she worked hard, and she helped her mother because my grandfather died when there were 8 children in the family, and when the children were little. And so when she could, she went out and worked and sent money home to her mother and to help the other children.
Back here in Ireland?
Yes. And
did she say to you know, did she ever come back here or ever?
She did. Yeah. She did. She made, in fact, Doug and I and my mother made a trip here when I was about 12 years old. But we didn't come to Dublin. We came to Sligo, which is where my mother grew up. Mm-hmm. And we went to Derry, which is where my father's family was living.
Okay, so when your mother went to the States, what happened, or where did she live and work, and how did she come to meet your father?
She lived in New York, outside New York City, and she worked as a nanny. And she met my father through, I think, his sisters who were working, I think, as cooks in big homes. And so they were married.
And where were you born and reared?
I was born in Port Chester. Doug and I grew up in Harrison, New York. And now I'm living further on up in Dutchess County, New York.
Okay.
But back to New York.
And when did your mother die?
She died in 92.
Okay. And up to her dying day, she kept that episode in her life with her.
Yes, she did. Yes.
Okay.
But over since last spring, Doug went through some old picture albums because she lived in San Francisco for her last 10 or 15 years, and her picture albums were there.
Okay.
And Doug saw a picture of Ivan, and it had his name under it when he was a little boy.
So she had a picture of her son.
Yes, yes.
That was back home in Ireland that she never spoke about.
Right.
And she would have had his date of birth and probably I'm sure she remembered him every day, but I'm sure she remembered him especially on his birthday.
Oh, it's heartbreaking for my mother and for Ivan.
It's a magnificent story. And when the letter dropped in it was Doug's letterbox, I suspect, that being the address on the death cert. When the letter arrived, how did yourself and Doug react, Eileen?
Well,
did you believe it?
At first, I didn't believe it. I said, we never heard anything about this, and we just couldn't believe that it was true and that our mother never said anything, especially, as she was getting older, and my father had died by that time, and I called different relatives in the family to ask if anybody had ever heard anything. And nobody had ever heard anything.
About Ivan?
Right.
And did you think Ivan was an imposter?
Well, I didn't see any reason why he would want to be an imposter. The first reaction was I just didn't believe it, but then he sent us copies of all the papers and everything. I said, well, this is wonderful. How exciting. You never know what life has in store for you.
Ivan, you're back on the line.
I am indeed.
Ivan,
Joe.
you've waited 81 years. Would you like to introduce your brother who you've just met for the first time?
Yes, I would indeed. Doug, quick.
Hello.
Doug.
Okay,
Doug.
I'm on this line, yeah.
Douglas, how are you? Joe is my name.
We're doing great.
Congratulations. Welcome to Ireland.
Thank you.
What's Ivan, your brother? What's he really like?
He's the most fabulous guy I've ever met. He's just...
Well, you took your time meeting him. It's taken you 65 years, but you've got
That's right.
together. Tell us your impression.
It's worth the wait.
Tell us your impressions of him.
Oh, he's just the most authentic guy I've ever come across. He's he's upfront about everything. Just a real guy who just loves life. And if you had to invent a brother, you couldn't do a better job than Ivan Rooney here. Yeah.
Douglas, when the letter dropped in your mailbox in the States from Ivan, relatively recently saying, I'm 81, I'm in Ireland, we have the same mother, which was the import of the letter. How did you react?
Well, the letter I got was from Bernardo's.
Oh, the intermediary, yeah.
I never got Ivan's letter because I had moved. So it was like, for Ivan, it was another glitch in, trying to track down his family. But when I got the letter from Bernardo's, I was like, what? It's like out of the blue. I thought it was like a scam or something like that when I first saw it, until we tracked the organization down and realized it was legit. So it was like one of those jaw droppers of... You hear these stories about other people, but you don't think it's going to happen to yourself.
And did you phone Eileen and say, Eileen, we have a brother?
Yeah, I did.
Eileen, there was always two of us together in the house, boy and girl growing up, probably fighting betimes. And now you discover there's another boy, but he was back home in Ireland.
Yeah. It's
What was your mother like?
She was a great woman. A great storyteller. She had the best of what I consider Irish characteristics and traits. Loved life, loved a good party, good family person.
And she had a good life in America.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
And when did you find in her belongings, because obviously she went to live either with you or near you, I'm trying to work it out in San Francisco, when did you find this photograph of Ivan in this photo album?
Well, we discovered it after we started researching, after we talked with Ivan. We were looking for clues to see if there was any photo history or anything like that, and we came across a photo album of that had a childhood picture of Ivan at about 5 years old.
And this was a photo album your mother had with her?
Yeah, she had boxes of photo albums from the 1920s and 30s. It was like a whole history that we hadn't paid that much attention to until we became sort of history detectives.
So there's every chance, she knew it was Ivan, obviously, and there's every chance she used to look at that photograph.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the real the one that really got us was we found a lock of Ivan's hair with his name attached, and that just left us speechless. We just put the book down and I started to cry. So it's for my mom, it was something that she kept buried, deep within her self, and it must have been a great, emptiness not being connected with her son.
And she would have been so proud of him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What a joy! Do you see her in him to look at? I know there's an age difference, obviously, and it's a long time.
There is a definite resemblance. There's some photos of Ivan, the same kind of at the seashore and stuff. My mom loved the ocean. The same kind of a look in their eyes. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Ivan, did you know your mother had a photograph of you and a lock of your hair?
No.
All those years.
That's all news to me. I never knew that.
Well, isn't it a fantastic little vignette to hang on to, that your mother, okay, she was in America, you were put up for fostering or whatever, you've no real memory of her, you were only 2 or 3, but that all through her life she kept the photograph of you.
Exactly. Well, that's a great comfort to me.
Is it?
Because I never had anything but goodwill for her, because I knew the situation in those days. And I always
you never had anger or
no. The last thing, it's not in my makeup. No, it's just a great joy to have at this time to have discovered what we have.
Douglas and Eileen. And have you?
She was obviously she had contacts from. I can't praise the Magdalene enough because a lady used to visit me every month to see that everything was okay. And I have one other correspondence which was from my mother in 1939 to Mrs. Bell, my foster mother, and she said that she was thanked them for giving me a good education and that that I was doing well in school and that she hoped I'd get a good job,
Okay. Well, what's your date of birth? What month were you born in?
16th of December, 1926.
Okay, and Douglas, what date of I don't need your year date, but what date was your birth?
February 1st.
Okay, so there's a birthday on the 16th of December and February, and do you recall Eileen's birthday? So I'm just thinking that on the 16th of December, Ivan, you can be sure your mother sat down. I know she thought of you all the time, but she would have sat down maybe with that photograph and the lock of hair and wondering.
And we brought that photograph with us.
Oh, magnificent!
And we're going to give it to Ivan this afternoon as soon as the radio interview is over.
Okay. And has Ivan seen the photograph of him as a baby? Oh, magnificent!
So we're going to.
So Ivan, what's the plan?
Oh.
You've 65 years to make up with Douglas and 73 to make up with Eileen, and you're 82.
It's amazing. There's one slight tinge of sadness in the affair, in that my wife of 55 years passed away on the 16th of November 2006, and she would have been very happy for me. And the only consolation I have is that my wife Olive was a good poet. And one of my projects when she died was to publish her poetry.
Okay.
And that took a lot of time and a lot of effort and cooperation. And I compiled that. I got a friendly printer, got it printed. I donated it to the Mothers Union, which is a Christian charity organisation, which mothers is their team throughout the world.
Have you got that book?
It was a very happy day when I got that published.
Have you got that nearby at the moment?
Why?
Because I want you to read a poem.
All right. Well,
listen, I want to talk to Susan. If you can grab the book, put me on to Susan, your daughter, and pick a poem in memory of your wife. Susan.
Hello.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
You have an uncle and an auntie.
I know, isn't it great?
And tell them they missed your communion, and they missed your confirmation, and they missed your 21st, and they can do whatever they want to now to make up for it. Well done. What's it like out there today?
Oh, yeah, it's a great occasion, actually. It's a very happy occasion for us all.
And you did
especially my dad.
Yeah. What's he like?
Oh, he's a lovely man. He puts everybody before himself, always has. Looked after my mother most of his life, so he deserves this happiness. He really does.
And what's the plan now for the next few days?
Oh, we're going to relax. And actually, my grandmother was from Sligo, so we're going to, there's 9 of us going down to Sligo on Friday, and we're going to meet relatives from Sligo as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Which we'd never met before.
Now you did some brilliant genealogical work. You went to work looking for birth cert. You had a birth cert. Then you got the death cert, which seems to be the key.
Yes, it was. It was just a fluke, really. That I think the time was just right, and it just, Dad had asked me for ages, and we all kind of said, "Oh yeah, we must do something about it." But one night I said, "Look, I'll do my best to help you now." Because before that, a lot of his time had been taken up looking after my mother and visiting her. So, I don't know, the time was just right.
And then you got the death cert, and that's when you located Douglas's name, and there was another glitch, as Doug said, but with the help of the wonderful Bernardos, you actually
were
tracked
brilliant,
them down.
yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Okay, Ivan sounds in great fettle. Is he back there? Did he find a book of poetry?
Yes, I think he's still...
Hello?
Yes, Ivan.
Yes, Joe. Yes.
How are you keeping?
We live in Tundalkin, you see.
Okay.
And this poem is self-explanatory.
Oh, your wife's name was Olive?
Olive, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'll read it out to you. The heading is Round Tower Tundalkin.
Okay.
It looks down on me like a man of stone, towering witness of my unfolding, my whimpering infancy. Baptized under its phosphorus, when programmed school days constrained my natural vacancy, I found solace in its dusty crevices. Seclusion in its darkness, with proud glassy eye, it beamed on my wedding when the heavens chose to scowl. Solemnly stood by as I mourned my deceased. Its stout stones a substantial support. Now, I had to finish that off and Olive passed away.
Okay.
And I wrote, "It now casts this long shadow over your final resting place, a fit memorial to a very special person. May you rest in peace."
Well done, Ivan. Beautifully written by you and Olive.
Yeah.
And the round tower is still there in Clondalkin, in the centre of Clondalkin. It towers down, as you say, proudly on everybody.
She was a very special person. She left her mortal remains to the Royal College of Surgeons.
Fantastic.
For education and progress in the medical research.
Okay. So, Ivan, enjoy the next few days.
Yes, and look, Joe,
yes,
thank you very much.
That's what we're here for.
You've made my day.
Okay.
And you're a very special person.
I am. No, I appreciate
you are a very special...
I appreciate your call. I'm not being rude, but I really appreciate your call on the 17th of October last year. And I remember it because I remember you being the tower that you are, like the tower in Clondalkin, a tower of strength and a tower of good humour as well in your 80th year. So congratulations, Ivan.
Thank you very much indeed, Joe.
Enjoy the next few days.
We will indeed.
Look after your younger brother and your younger sister. And,
I'll do that.
It sounds like you've already, I know you've only met today after such a long time, but it sounds like you've already made up.
And I might add that we've a cousin in Strandhill in Sligo who's also been in touch.
And you're going up there.
You were going up to see them during the week.
A man that met you and your wife Noel is on the line. Noel, briefly, go ahead. You're a taxi driver.
Yeah, I'm a taxi driver, and I drove Ivan and his wife around when she wasn't well, and the crack we had together. So I'd just like to say he deserves this moment on the radio, and fair play to him. He's such a gentleman and such a lovely person.
Okay.
Always has a smile.
Did you know he had a brother and a sister in America?
Well, I found out only last week from his son Marvin.
Isn't that great?
So I'm delighted for him. I'm absolutely thrilled for him. And you can even hear it in his voice now how delighted he is. And he's such a cheery person. So ups and downs. Fair play to him.
Great to hear him. Okay, thanks, Nolly.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, Ivan, safe travelling.
Thank you very much indeed, Joe.
Okay, and look after...
And all the best with your programme. You're a wonderful man.
Okay, and
yeah.
Look after Doug and Eileen.
I will.
You're the eldest. You're the eldest. And God rest your dear mother. What was her first name, Ivan?
Eileen.
God rest your dear mother. She
Yes,
went
thank
through
you
a
very
lot
much.
leaving you behind, but thankfully now it's come round.
81
years later. You look after yourself.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Ivan, thanks indeed.